Hello and welcome to Thursday. It is Thursday. uh Boy. Um so last year around this time, actually in 1 week on April 25th, 2024, I made a decision in which I said that I would be quitting social media. And I figured it's time for, I guess, a 1 year update on quitting social media, I think. So, it's hard. It's definitely hard. It's one of those things where you really need to make an effort to change your brain and the way it works. The big thing is that, initially I was pretty good at it, and then eventually, like, a couple months down the line, I found myself maybe spending a bit more time than I really wanted to, and then, stepping away from it again, and then getting sucked back in. But now I think we're at a point where I'm very comfortable not using really anything. So the things I still use today are YouTube, Twitch, Discord. Those are my big three that I really can't live without. Discord is essential for communicating with people I've met over the past 12 years, back when Skype was a thing. Oh my god, Skype's gonna die in a couple of weeks too. I gotta talk about that. Um, it's talking to people I've met through my entire life, and that's essential communication platform. I don't use Facebook. I use Messenger for like one person, uh, and I might talk to them and be like, "Hey, do you use another platform? Because it'd be neat to switch over to something." But it's fun. Um, I enjoy speaking to people across email. I don't use Instagram, don't use, Twitter and Reddit were my two big vices, but I very much cut them out. I know people have moved to Blue Sky, and I don't really use Blue Sky. Um, but I'm always on YouTube, just watching stuff by tons and tons of people. It's just something that I grew up doing because, I remember being and using YouTube back when it first came out. I remember my cousin showing me this wonderful website just in the room across the hall, uh, and just exploring that. It was super neat and a lot of fun. But after that, Twitch came along, and that has taken up a bulk of my life. I have nothing here, it doesn't look like, but I've been to TwitchCon, 2017, 2018, 2019. Um, Met some incredible, wonderful people, and Twitch has been a home for me for so many years. So these are very different sites because of the way engagement works and the way that you consume content there. I know the big ones for people are TikTok and um, Facebook, Instagram, for whatever reasons you have, and people love to doom scroll. But the big takeaway is that I find myself having much more time and wanting to, I guess, engage and read longer form posts. Right? I think I've talked about having just an RSS feed where I just find a blog or a website that I like and just add it to my feed, and that's just I'm able to see hundreds of posts at any given time from just all these places that I really enjoy. Um, I don't have to use an external app, and it's really cool just having one centralized place, which is neat. So, instead of having to go to, oh, if I want to keep up with this person's, it's hard because you do want to keep up with some people's dailies going on. Like, I still have Twitter installed on my phone because that was how I primarily communicated with some friends way back in the day. I really love just using the platform for just seeing what small, minute things people are up to, because that's fun. It's you may not keep in touch, you may not talk about the mundane stuff that happens in your life every single moment, but you can make a small few word post about, hey, getting dinner and taking this picture. And that's really cool. Like, I understand why people enjoy that, because they want to be in touch, they want to be engaging, but there's a thing between like passive engagement and more active engagement, which is something I've talked about. Passive engagement, I would say, is just stripping things down to just a simple like button, and that's really cool because it gives people like a little tiny bit of a dopamine hit, but it's also, oh hey, I have read this, I've seen this, and so on and so forth. But if you want to have a proper conversation with somebody, that takes another step. You need to actively click on the profile, you need to like click the button that says message or DM, and then you need to type out a whole message. And that barrier to entry is so much harder, and it's been stripped down because it's so different the way that we live in the current year, because you're stripping away that human connection, which is something that I've always loved talking about. You're boiling it down to a simple single button tap, when instead you can make a reply, you can have a long form of communication here, but it's just a whole thing that has gone away. Same with Reddit. Reddit is very unique for me because you can engage with the hundreds and hundreds of different communities at the same time. All extreme niches for weird and wild stuff on the platform. I seldom use Reddit on my phone now. In fact, I will load it up just to see what I can see off the top of my head, and it's just weird things like, here's a post somebody from about Game Boys, a lot of video game stuff. Just some really cool comics because I love webcomics. And then unique memes. There's a whole subreddit dedicated to putting and formatting the correct date. What I mean by that is that you are to, the standard is like, oh boy, I just closed it up. ISO 8601, which is where they put year, month, day, because that's the only correct way to form a date in the international standard. You can't do like month, day, year, day, month, year, or any other combination. It's only year, month, day, and that's the only way that you're supposed to do that via international standard. And there's people posting memes there. It's just, you're not going to find these communities anywhere else, and that's really neat. But it's also a thing of, I've spent hundreds of hours on these websites that it's not good for you. So, I find myself just having more time and wanting to get, I've just mentioned this, but, it's a lot healthier, I think, with my relation with the internet. It makes me actively want to get out and go do stuff instead of just laying in bed or lounging around and just scrolling for hours and doing nothing, which is really cool. So yeah, I think I'm going to continue this, and I really think that my relationship will improve. Seldom do I use any platform now. If I'm at my computer and I find myself with just a tiny bit of time just clicking around, I might go to these websites. But the easiest way and the best way to just not use these websites is take them off your home screen. Just, you can have the apps installed, just make that barrier to entry more of a barrier, right? I have the apps on my phone, they're right there, but it's just, they're not on my home screen. Initially I buried them in a folder on my home screen, but that's just an extra click, and I found myself using them more and more. Just remove them from my home screen. And I know it's harder on iOS devices, I think. I don't think you can hide them as properly, but I just have the one screen with all of my apps, and I need to go search through my app drawer, or I just need to physically type out when I want to engage with the app, and that's a lot more effort, which gives myself time to think. It's like, do I really want to do this? And most of the time it's no. You can uninstall it. that is, might be a bit too far because I like getting notifications from friends on platforms like Twitter. You know, I hit the notification bell for some friends because I really want to see what they're up to, and it's nice getting that information. Be like, oh yeah, they're getting into some fun stuff. Some may tweet a lot, but that's fine. I've had notifications on for some people for 8 years and not turning them off anytime soon. But then on my computer, you know, I have bookmarks in my web browser, and it's very easy to click on those. But you know, again, I'm more aware at my computer desk, and I can just immediately close out because I realize, you know, my computer has so much more to offer. I can do any number of things, and it's less enticing. Again, if your computer is your vice, just remove those bookmarks. Make it a bit harder. You need to type out the web browser instead of having to just simply middle click on a bookmark and you'll have that open. Just it's that easy. And immediately you'll see just improvements in your time and your life where you don't find yourself just doom scrolling and, you know, engaging with these apps that aren't good for you. It's a very unique thing, and I'm glad to have done this because it has dramatically improved my life. It makes me want to engage with people on platforms that long form engagement is welcome. You know, I've talked about my love for email, I've talked about loving Discord, and while Discord is more of an instant messaging app, you can post extremely long messages, which I've done. You can engage with so many different communities, and you know, maybe the community that you're part of on whatever platform has a Discord server, and maybe it's a great place for you to engage with this content and not have to actively be on a platform that you despise. It's really neat, and I'm thankful that we have places that, you know, people can bring content so I can see what I'm missing out on. But you know, the internet's ever evolving, and it's one gigantic beast that slowly but surely we're taking back one website at a time. Anyway, that's what I'm gonna call it here for today. A lot of talking, but so be it. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow. And until then, later.